Wednesday, 20 December, 1815. I am going to find my sister Mary a husband. I've decided. I will see Mary wedded to a nice, eligible, and if possible, handsome young man within the next year if it kills me, which, to be honest, given Mary's past history, seems entirely probable. It is strange. I would never have thought Mary cared, one way or the other, about attracting male admirers, much less a husband. I did not think she cared very much for anything, except proving how very much cleverer and more accomplished she is than anyone else. But tonight, well, I suppose I ought to recount it all from the beginning. We attended Lady Dorwitch's ball tonight, so that we were very late in getting to bed. And then, I suppose it can only have been an hour or two after I had fallen asleep, I woke with my heart pounding from the nightmare that had come upon me. It was the usual nightmare, the one of Waterloo, as horrible now as it was when the dreams first started up last summer. But all this was beside the point. What I really meant to write is that after I woke, I heard Mary crying in the bed next to mine. Since we are staying with my Aunt and Uncle Gardiner in their London home, we are obliged to share a room. I sat up, certain I must be dreaming still, because I cannot recall ever having heard Mary cry since she was 6 years old and I was 5, and she fell off the piano bench and cut her head on the coal scuttle. She was crying tonight, though. She was huddled under the blankets, sobbing softly into her pillow. I lay quiet, uncertain of what to do. It is not as though Mary and I have ever been especially close, despite the nearness of our ages. Sharing a room with her these last weeks has occasionally made me contemplate, well, not actually fratricide, or whatever the equivalent for sisters is. Latin has never exactly been my strong point. I have felt, however, that if I have to spend one more day listening to Mary make weird gargling sounds in her throat first thing at dawn every morning, she read somewhere or other that it strengthens a weak singing voice, I shall be tempted to catch several dozen live toads and put them in her bed. Except that there are no live toads to be had in London in January. The whole point, though, of my sharing a room with Mary is that it is a kind of penance. And the unpleasant truth that I have recently discovered about penances is that they are practically never the kind of act that comes easily. So I pushed back the covers and got out of bed, despite the cold floorboards and the fact that my feet were bare, and sat down on the edge of Mary's mattress. Mary, is something wrong? I asked. Mary did not answer. She only lay absolutely still, the covers pulled over her head. And after a second's pause, she let out the most unconvincing snore I have ever heard. Half snort, half suppressed sob. Oh, for heaven's sakes, Mary, I know you're not asleep, I said. You wouldn't fool baby Susanna. Baby Susanna is our youngest Gardiner cousin. You may as well sit up and tell me what the trouble is. Mary lay a second more without moving, and then she sat up in an explosion of blankets and sheets and glowered at me from under the ruffles of the old-fashioned nightcap she always wears. Mary is only 22, a year older than I am, but even at night she dresses as though she were in constant rehearsal for the role of elderly maiden aunt. Mary's eyes were red and puffy, but she lifted her chin. If you must know, I'm crying because not one single gentleman asked me to dance tonight. I was taken aback. I thought you said that, in your opinion, dancing was a frivolity, suited only to small and meagre minds, I said, which sounds as though I were being spiteful, but I have also discovered that it is extremely wearing to force myself to be sweet all of the time, and in the wake of the nightmare, I was not feeling especially sweet.